friends, how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. Today I'm gonna do a video chatting about my favorite dewy makeup products. These are the products that give me that really fresh, dewy, wet, yummy effect. I love dewy makeup. I always want to be more on the hydrated, illuminating, dewy side of things. You don't really catch me in matte very often, and I feel like I just have a good arrangement of products that are like my #1 staples. You could go through pretty much anything in my collection and you could probably put it with like hydrating or illuminating or anything like that. But these products specifically, I feel like really give me that dewy, wet look. Not so much just simply hydrated, if that makes sense. But yeah, I have pretty much a full face of stuff in front of me, aside from the things that don't matter, like lashes aren't going to be dewy, you know what I mean? And I'm excited to share them with you. If you're a dewy makeup lover, maybe this will be some new things to share with you. Maybe you already use these things. And I would love to hear what your dewy favorites are down in the comments as well. Let's just hop into this video and chat about some dewy products. So as far as primer goes, the only one that I still own that really gives me that very dewy, glowy finish is my Becca First Light Priming Filter. I haven't used this in quite a while just because I haven't felt the need to have a really dewy primer anymore. I feel more excited about my Milk Hydro Grip, which just allows my makeup to really grip and stick to my face and last a really long time. But if I do really crave that dewy, lit from within kind of product as a primer, the First Light is probably the one I would go with. I used to have this and the Backlight Priming Filter. I found the Backlight was more so just like highlighting. I feel like this one does give me more of that dewy look. And to me there is a difference. Highlighting is just like shiny. You know, it's really hard to explain these in words. Okay. For me, highlighting and illuminating, it's all just like very shiny and like reflective. Dewy is more like wet, lit from within, that kind of a feel. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying really hard to articulate my words correctly. Moving on to foundation, the #1 dewy of dewy foundations that I've ever tried, and one of my #1 favorites, is the Anastasia Luminous Foundation. I love how dewy this makes my skin look. It looks so healthy and youthful and just yummy and hydrated and good, and I really love this one. It's more pricey because it is high-end. I think it's around $40, but I love everything about this foundation. Like I said, it's one of my #1 favorites. I can't get enough of it. I will 100% repurchase it when it's gone. This is just, it lasts all day on me while still maintaining that dewy feel. Freaking love this foundation. And all the foundations I'm going to talk about, the dew I feel like still does shine through even after I have set with powder, because I do set with powder because I do work all day with blow dryers and hot water and things like that in the salon, so I need something that's really going to last all day. And these still maintain their dewy look while being set. And these are in no particular order either, by the way. Next is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Hydrate. I felt like this one was very hated on. A lot of people did not like it, but I quite enjoy it. I feel like for an affordable foundation, it leaves me very dewy and it makes my skin look really plump and good without it being like too oily or greasy looking. I feel like there can be a very fine line between dewy makeup and greasy makeup, and I feel like this just hits the dewy point without it looking nasty, and I really like it. It looks, again, very youthful and hydrated and just very, I'm glowing from within. I really like this foundation. Not as much as the Anastasia one, but again, for a cheap foundation, that one does the job for me. Next is the Milk Makeup Flex Stick, and I really like this one. It's a really good foundation stick. It lasts a really long time on me, and I find with foundation sticks, a lot of the time they get very slippy and a little greasy over time, but this one I feel like just maintains that dew effect without it getting gross, if that makes sense. It lasts a long time on me. I really enjoy this one. I've introduced this one to a couple of my friends and they really enjoy it as well. It's a good solid stick foundation. And this one I'd actually probably wouldn't have included if I wasn't trying to currently go through it and rediscovered my love for it. But it's the IT Cosmetics Illuminating CC Cream. It's what I'm wearing today. And it's just a very easy kind of light to medium coverage dewy foundation. It leaves my skin just looking very just hydrated and good and youthful and yummy. I'm going to be repeating a million words because that's the whole point of this video. But I just really like the way it makes my skin look. It's very pleasant. These 3 concealers, I can say the same thing about all of them, so I'll give you my description before we talk about what they are. But with concealers, a lot of the time, well, at least for me, I don't like a very matte concealer. I just feel like it looks a little too crepey on my under eyes. For reference, I do have more normal to dry skin, so anything that pulls more matte just typically does not work for me. It looks a bit too dry and it just doesn't give me what I need, and I really just like the appearance of Dew more. These concealers all range from medium to full coverage, and they just provide more of that, like, almost more of a satin, dewy, natural looking finish. It's not crazy matte, and it's also not crazy greasy, but it does give you that very healthy looking plump under eye, and I really like that about these concealers. The first one is the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Concealer. I mean, I could say the same thing about all these. I'm not going to go into detail. This one I feel like does lean a little bit more on the full coverage side out of all 3 of these. I really like it. It's one of my #1 favorite concealers. I like how large it is. It's going to last me a long time, and it makes my under eyes look great. The next one is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Hydrate Concealer. This came out around the same time as the foundation, and I could say a very similar thing to this that I said about the foundation. I like the way it looks on my under eyes. This one's more of a medium coverage, and I quite enjoy it. It's very lightweight. And this last one is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Concealer. It's the one I'm wearing currently, and I just feel like all of these blend super seamlessly into whatever foundation I use. I don't have to worry about anything ever looking too dry. My under eyes don't usually look too crepey anymore, and I'm really a fan of it. All of my cream bronzers that I use, which I only use like 2 or 3 of them, are matte, so we're going to skip past that and move on to cream blush. All of my cream blushes lean more on the natural to matte side. Like, they aren't crazy dewy or anything, but I do find that my Glossier Cloud Paint, I have the shade Beam, just leaves a very yummy dewy finish on my cheeks. It's really lovely. I want more of these so bad. I only have the 1 shade for right now. You better believe I'm going to pick more up as soon as I'm able to. I love this product. I feel like it makes my cheeks just look so just dewy and good. It's very youthful and it's very cute. As far as cream highlights go, the only ones I really reach for are the Colourpop Light Sticks, and I absolutely love these. I don't find them to be too sparkly. They're not wet, like they're like a cream. They're not a liquid, so I don't find that they break down my makeup personally. I know some people really don't like these. I love them. I personally just rub my finger on it and kind of apply it like that so that my finger can kind of warm up the product. Sometimes I go straight in with my beauty sponge and rub it on the sponge and then go onto my face. But either way, I really like this product. I find that it just melts into my skin really seamlessly and leaves just a nice dewy glow on my cheekbones without it just looking like I poured sparkly liquid on my cheekbones. If that makes sense. Skipping setting powder because my holy grail setting powder and the only one I use is the Milk Makeup Blur setting powder, and that one just leaves my skin looking natural. I wouldn't say it looks dewy or matte. But I do have one bronzer to talk about. The Becca Bali Sands bronzer has a little bit of a sheen to it. Not so much that it's shimmery, but I feel like it does leave just kind of a sheen on my cheekbones. I have it down here. You can kind of see that sheen that's going on. Really love this bronzer. This is actually my second one because I've totally gone through my first one. I've been using it for years. It's my favorite bronzer of all time, especially for pale skin. For blush, I only had a couple that really stood out to me because I actually use a lot of matte blushes or more like satin blushes. I don't have a lot of crazy shimmery blushes, which I was actually surprised about. For some reason, I thought I had a lot more shimmery blushes than I actually do, and maybe I'm forgetting some. I really hope not, but these are the ones that really stand out to me. The Melt Genesis is actually a highlight, but I use this as a blush, and it's just the prettiest peachy, shiny blush. I will swatch it on the back of my hand for you. It just leaves such a pretty, shiny, dewy look without it being like glittery or anything. It's so pretty, and this pairs so nicely with Beam. It's not even funny. I love this one. And then from Beauty Bakery, my Cotton Candy Champagne palette. Oh, this is so dirty. Whew, just ignore how like dirty this palette is. It's very well loved. But these are quite shimmery, but I find when they're blended out onto my cheeks, they just look very glowy and dewy. It's very yummy. I'll just swatch Sip Sip Hooray. That's the one in the top right. This one I probably reach for the most. But once it's blended out, it just leaves a really soft shine to it. It's not crazy glittery or anything obnoxious, but it leaves your cheeks just looking so plump and cute. I love a sheeny blush. It's one of my favorite things. But I can use pretty much any blush and it gives a little bit more of a sheen. Like even today, I feel like I have a little bit of sheen with my blush. Even though these blushes aren't like shimmery or anything, I think it's all of my base products that I use beforehand that can kind of shine through. I like the method that I use. For highlight, I have quite a few, and I could put like all of my highlights in this category technically because a highlight is just going to highlight you. It's going to add shine and brightness. But I really wanted to focus on my favorite highlights that really added that wet effect without it just being sparkly. So, a few things to talk about. The first one is Flexitarian from Colourpop. It's what I'm wearing on my cheekbones right now. It just leaves that very glossy, wet look. There's no sparkle in this. It's just pure wetness, and it's so incredibly delicious. I've been using Flexitarian for years. This is also my second one because I've totally gone through my first one. This next one is Cleo from Juvia's Place. This is one of my all-time favorite highlights. It's a loose powder, so it's a little bit messier, but it's just so pretty. I have it on the back of my hand right there. It's so incredibly just wet and beautiful. I love the sheen this leaves on my cheekbones. It just makes them pop and look like they're just glowing from within, but still intense, but not sparkly. I'm the biggest fan of this highlight. Another loose highlight I have is the Snow Angel loose highlight from Give Me Glow. This is their old packaging. I'm certain they've changed their packaging since then. I remember them seeing that online. But this one's similar to Cleo in the fact that it's loose and just very wet, but this one's more of a white tone. Juvia's Place one is a little bit more of a champagne-y pale tone. But it's the same. It just melts into my skin and it's so glowy and beautiful and wet, and I live for it. I love a good wet highlight. This next one is the Milk Makeup Flex highlight in the shade Iced. You can see the dent in that. I love this highlight. I was scared of it when I first got it sent to me in PR from Milk Makeup because it looked like it would be too gold for me. It's right here. But it's just the prettiest wet look. It's not the most glittery thing in the world at all. Like, it's very smooth. It's just smooth and wet, and that's what I love about it. And this is probably my only gold highlight I have that I feel like looks good on my skin. I've used other golds that just don't look right on me. And finally, I have the Fenty How Many Carats Diamond Balm. There's also such a dent in this one. I've been using this one like for a couple years now. I love this one. This one has more of a putty texture similar to the... I'm just going to swatch it here. Similar to the Colourpop Flexitarian. And this one does have sparkle to it, don't get me wrong, but this one is just so smooth and wet and glass-like. I had to include it in this. Something about the sparkle on this is different than sparkle in my other highlights, and I like a chunky, sparkly highlight. I 100% do. But sometimes I really want just that smooth, wet shine, and this delivers it while also having really micro-fine sparkles in it that don't look chunky. This highlight is so magical. I love this one. I've been using it for so long. Now let's talk setting sprays. I choose setting spray for the purpose of really melting all my makeup together and giving it that nice final finish. Only one of these really claims to be glowy. The other two just claim to be a setting spray. But for me, they don't mattify me, they don't do anything like that, but they really do a good job at melting my makeup in. The first is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. This one does have hyaluronic acid, obviously, I just said that, so this one is going to add more hydration and nourishment into the skin, but I don't think this one claims to make your makeup dewy or anything like that, but it's what I'm wearing now, it's what I've been wearing for a while. I feel like it really does just melt my makeup in and gives such a good finish, and I'm going to say that about all of these because that's just how it is. Next are all of my Apocalyptic Beauty setting sprays. I have a code with them. I think it's just Butte Bean in all caps. It'll be down in the description box if I'm wrong, but I've used so many of their setting sprays. I haven't in a little while just because I've been on my Colourpop one, but all of these smell so lovely and they really do a great job melting my makeup in and leaving such a beautiful, youthful finish on my skin. And finally, this one's technically a placeholder because I haven't used this specific one yet. It's still like packaged up, but I have used the rose version of this in the past and it did such a good job making my skin look so glowy. So I imagine this one will do the same, but just pretend I'm only talking about the Rose Glow Setting Mist. But I've heard great things about the Pixie Glow Setting Mist as well. Like I just said, it really melts my makeup in, this one leaves a glowy finish, out of all of them the most glowy finish, and it's just so pretty. But again, it doesn't make me look greasy or sweaty, it just makes me look kind of dewy and youthful. You know I'm repeating my words. I can't help it. It's a video about Dewy makeup. What do you expect? I only have one eyeshadow product to talk about because I'm not just gonna sit here and name off a bunch of like shimmer shadows because that's kind of different. Shimmer is different than wet, but I do have one product and I know you're gonna guess what I'm talking about. It's Colourpop Urth. Freaking love this product. It just leaves the most dewy, like you can see my finger. My finger just looks like it's wet. It's so pretty. It's my favorite topper ever. I'm gonna put this one up here. It's up here at the top of my hand. But it just leaves such a wet sheen. On days that I'm maybe not wearing eyeshadow, but I just need a little bit of something to look alive, I just quickly tap that across my lids. In my videos, you guys have seen me do an all matte look and just pull this out and tap a little over the top, and it just gives that really pretty, wet, shiny look. I'm so obsessed with Urth. This was one of the best things I bought this year. I keep it just on my filming desk at all times to just reach into whenever I feel like. I do have one eye pencil to talk about, and it's kind of weird that I'm talking about an eye pencil, but something about this is so special. This is the NYX Platinum eye pencil, and it's just a silver, but it is just the most like reflective. Do you see that right there? It's the most reflective, shiny silver. When you put it in your waterline, it just looks so, like it makes your eyes look a little wet. It's so pretty. This was recommended by one of you guys and I'm so glad I snagged it. Glitz from NYX is also really pretty, but not quite as wet looking. Platinum is definitely the wettest. It is so pretty. And finally, I have a few glosses to talk about, and I wasn't just gonna pull out every gloss because like this gloss, for instance, like it's pretty and it's glossy, but I wouldn't call it like wet looking. I want very wet, juicy lips sometimes, and these four deliver that for me. This first one is Princess Cut from Colourpop. It's one of these So Juicy glosses. I'm not even gonna swatch, well, maybe I'll swatch it. It's just a clear gloss, but I mean, it's clear and it's plumping and it just looks glassy and wet. Like you can see that shine line right there. It just makes your lips look really juicy, and that's why they're called the So Juicy glosses, and that's why I like it. This next one is the Dose of Colors Over the Top gloss. This was in collaboration with Desi and Katie. I have no idea if this is still available. I really hope it is because I do want to repurchase it when I'm out. But this one is basically a clear gloss with micro fine gold glitter in it. It's the second one right here. But again, it just leaves a very wet, glossy, yummy look on your lips. I'm obsessed with this gloss. It's one of my #1 favorites of all time. I want that to be a permanent gloss in their line. This next one is from Sugar Pill. It's called Bloom. Now this one isn't clear or anything. This one has like a very light lavender blue reflect to it, but it's such a smooth, lightweight gloss, and it just leaves my lips looking so glass-like. It's kind of right there. I know it gets hard to see all these more translucent glosses, but I love the formula of this one. Flicker by them is also really pretty. It's in the same formula. I need more glosses from them, especially that like perform exactly like this. It's just so comfortable to wear, and it just makes your lips look so glass-like and juicy and wet, and it's so good. And this last one is from Kaleidos. It's one of the Lucid lips. This one's in the shade Fantasize. And this one's very similar to that Sugar Pill one I was just talking about. Like obviously this one isn't clear. It has a color to it, but it's more just like the glitters that have color to it. It just leaves such a pretty, glowy, glossy finish. Oh, I love it. I could talk about Dewy makeup all day. It's just my favorite thing. If you ask me to tell you about matte makeup, I won't have anything to say, but I could talk about Dewy makeup forever. But yeah, I think I'm done rambling. These are my top picks for favorite Dewy products. Hopefully I didn't forget something. If you think I forgot something that's a staple Dewy product, let me know. But keep in mind, I tried to be really particular with what I was picking for this video because I could pick anything that was sparkly. I didn't really want to pick sparkly though. I wanted just very wet. That's what I was looking for this video. But I would love to know what your favorites are. Have you tried anything that I talked about today? Do you have any recommendations for me? Are you excited about any of the things I talked about and want to try for yourself? I would love to know it all. If you made it to the end of this video, why don't you leave me the like droplet emojis, because we're talking about wet makeup here. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please hop over to my Instagram. It's BeautBee and follow me there. I post every single day, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm posting most days here as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.